Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about how I decorated my whole wedding with dried flowers and how you can do that too. So that's why we're here today. I'm going to take some of the plants with me and explain to you where I got them from, how I treated them, and how you can do the same. I want to start and tell you the first step when decorating with dried flowers. So number one is collecting the flowers. When you collect your flowers for drying, there are different places where you can get them. The first place where I started looking was on the fields. When going out with our dog or just walking around in nature, I collected different plants to dry them and see how they look. So I got some of the plants here I collected from the fields. These are some different grasses and flowers, and especially if you're planning like a very natural wedding or you want to make very natural decorations, then dried flowers and plants from the fields are perfect for that. So just go out, see what you can find and try to dry them. Other plants I collected you may recognize, like it's just weeds, and other really dry plants you can find beside the fields. And also there are a lot of different weeds you can collect. I never actually take them from the field, but there are a lot of them growing right beside the path, so it's not something they would collect. Others I collected outside are these yellow ones, and they are really sturdy. They take up a lot of space, so it's easy to make bouquets with them or just decorations for the tables. And some really important plants I collected are these fluffy ones. They look a little bit like tiny pampas grass, and when you collect them earlier in the year, they are a little bit purple, and the longer you wait, the lighter they get. These are also some flowers that look a lot different when you collect them, and when you hang them to dry, they turn out like that, and I think they look really interesting. I also collected those violet ones. They grow like crazy in our area and they look just like lavender. They are also really great for decorations. So that was all. And also one very important one are those. They also grow a lot around here, especially near water, and you can find them like really fluffy or a little bit more delicate and small. I use them for a lot of decorations. I also made a cloud out of them, and they are really sturdy. They don't lose a lot of the fluff, which is really nice, and they are perfect if you're going for a more natural look. So that are some of the flowers I collected outside, and now we're moving on to getting plants and flowers from neighbors, friends or your family. So I actually asked around in the neighborhood. So actually my mom did ask around in the neighborhood, and I collected a lot of different plants that way, which would be really expensive if I had to buy them. First person we asked was actually my grandmother. She had a lot of... I also got some of those from her. I just think they make like a really great accent in your bouquet. And I also got a lot of roses, like in a lot of different colors. I'm not the biggest fan of roses, but they are really great for drying and they always turn out good. Then I got a lot of flowers from neighbors. One really nice lady gave me some different flowers. She always let me cut some in her garden. They look a bit squished now, but that's my fault. They are actually great for drying and they don't really change much after that. I also got those from a neighbor. They are also really great for bigger decorations. And I was really lucky. A friend of my father actually has those big palm trees, and he actually allowed me to cut some, and then I cut them into shape and colored them. Some other really great plants I had no idea existed are those that look like fireworks. And also my mother planted some flowers for collecting. She looks a bit wonky. They actually are great for drying. I just didn't store it that well. Also this one got really squished, but this one is also great for drying. And I also tried to dry poppies. Like that was a pain in the ass. But I managed to dry one. But it looks kind of sad. Now the next really important place where I got a lot of flowers is the supermarket. Some of them take the flowers that they can't sell anymore and put them aside, and you can just take them. So from the supermarket I got some different flowers, but they mostly have like the same 5 different flowers. So I got some of these. They look really cool and they come in like blue, pink, I think red, and they're kind of easy to dry. And also the supermarket was the first place I saw ranunculus. Before that I didn't know they existed, and I actually prefer them to peonies. And I got a lot of cloves there. Also what I did with flowers from the supermarket was, when they weren't really looking good anymore, I removed some of the petals outside. I actually had some great results. Like, these are the insides of peonies. So I just took off all the petals outside and just kept this little ball. And the next thing I did is I went to our wholesale flower market. So I went there a few times. For some particular plants you can't really find that easily. I bought a lot of those. I think they're called sea lavender, and when you buy them they actually feel like they are already dried, so you don't have to do a lot and they always turn out perfect. So this flower is really easy. I really recommend that one. And something I just couldn't find anywhere else are bunny tail grasses. And also I bought a lot more ranunculus, and I also bought some more cloves, but that's it from the wholesale market. And the last and very important part was where to get all the pampas grass I wanted, because pampas grass can get really expensive. So one place where I found some is a website we have here, like an online flea market. People actually sell their pampas grass there. I bought a lot of it really cheap. Like, I maybe spent 100 euros on pampas grass, but I will put a picture here, and that's just part of the pampas grass I had. And I also just asked people when I saw they had pampas grass in their garden, and I was shocked to find out that most of the people cut it and just throw it in the trash. And I also have one stem of pampas grass that's like the fluffiest pampas grass I ever had, and this one I actually stole at night at the park in Italy. So that's also a way how to get to your pampas grass. So after you collected plants and flowers, it's time for part 2, how to dry your flowers. The easiest and most obvious way is to just hang them to dry, and I did that with a lot of my plants, especially the grasses. And to bundle them up, I actually used those kind of wires. I just put them around and twist the ends, and this way when the flowers are drying you can always twist it a bit more so it gets tighter, because when the flowers dry they get a bit thinner and sometimes they fall out of the bundle. So with this way you can always just tighten it and they will stay there. Hanging them to dry works with most of the plants and flowers. Some of the plants you don't even have to hang up, you can just put in a vase. Like those, you don't have to hang them up, just put them in the vase and they will dry. And also with hydrangeas, you can just put them in a vase with just like a little bit of water and keep them there until they are really crispy and dry. Some of my flowers, I wanted them to look like really fresh and just keep their colors. So what I did was I used silica gel crystals. The ones I bought are especially for flower drying and they work amazing. I had some really great results with them. I also have a video about how to dry ranunculus with silica gel crystals. I will link it below. So all of my ranunculus, peonies, some of the cloves, some of the roses and delicate flowers like these, I dried with the silica gel, and you can just see how well it keeps the colors. And if you really care for the flowers afterwards, they stay like that for a long time. So my mistake was I had them in a vase afterwards where they could drop their head like that. So the best thing is to first dry them with silica gel crystals and afterwards hang them up for a few more weeks, and then they will stay up. So after I dried the flowers and plants, I needed to store them somehow so they would keep nice until the wedding. I actually used those cat food containers. Like, they have a lot of space and they are really sturdy. And I also use those fruit crates from the supermarket. They are really good for storing grasses. I also used like glasses or cups for the smaller flowers. And if I had the space and if the flowers are a little bit delicate, I just let them hang in the attic so they don't drop their head like some of my flowers did. So yeah, that's how I stored them. And for the pampas grass, I noticed they stay a lot nicer if every few weeks you just spray them with a bit of hairspray, and they actually got fluffier and lost less of their fluff. And also I started to arrange my bouquets, so I also stored them as bouquets and just put them in vases, and that way they held really well. So moving on to how to color your plants, and I wanted to find the best way to color them. So the first way I started to color some plants, I filled the bucket with water and added some textile colors, like the ones you dye your clothes with. And I just dipped the pampas grass in there and kneaded the color into the pampas grass, and then I hung them to dry. And this turned out really nice. It was just a bit messy, and later I found a method I liked better, which is coloring pampas grass and other plants with food coloring. For that I just mixed food coloring and water, and I sprayed the plants with an airbrush pistol, but this worked perfectly. And also I could adjust if I wanted them lighter or stronger. And I actually have a video about how to color with an airbrush pistol, and also one with the textile colors and the bucket. I will link them in the description below. And now, like half a year after my wedding, I actually discovered a new way how to color pampas grass, which is way easier and a lot cheaper. I will link it also in the description below. And another thing I used a lot, especially for plants that aren't fluffy, I use graffiti sprays. With them you get only like one shade of a color, but you get really strong colors, and that way I could also get violet colors, which didn't work the other ways. So that way I colored a lot of plants, especially in violet, like those poppy pots or also the hydrangeas. I didn't color them all over, I just sprayed them a bit where they were a bit more brownish. So you can also freshen up your plants with that. So like this one, they lost a bit of their yellow color, so afterwards I sprayed them with a yellow graffiti spray, and they look just like new. I also did a video about collecting flowers in fall and how to make a colorful bouquet with them. And in this video I actually colored all of the plants with graffiti sprays. So this is also a really great and easy way to color your plants, but I wouldn't use graffiti sprays or any spray for pampas grass because the color only sticks to the outside, and in the end it just gets really sticky and strange. So that's for coloring your plants. I will link all the videos I have on this subject below. And now we actually come to the last part about how to actually arrange your flowers. So for my wedding I actually started to experiment a lot with how to make a nice looking bouquet, and also my brother and his girlfriend gifted me a really nice course how to arrange a dried flower bouquet. So I learned a lot there, but actually it's not that hard, especially if you have a lot of big elements like pampas grass or some of the bigger flowers and plants. You can just start with them and arrange other flowers and grasses around it. In the next weeks I also want to make a video about how to arrange different bouquets. I'm not a florist, so it's just what I learned by doing, and my first bouquets looked like a child did them, but it gets better really fast. And I also have 2 videos where I arrange some bouquets. I will link those below also, but you can also make like bigger arrangements. I did that by using flower pots or some bigger, more open vases. I also have a video about how I did some of those arrangements. I think those are a bit more difficult, but with some practice you can easily do it. And also there are a lot of other things you can do with dried plants, like those flower wreaths. I made some of those pins with flowers and also hairpins for the girls. And one thing that people really loved at my wedding, and I actually didn't plan to do it, I just had too many flowers and plants for our location. So I put some of the dried plants and flowers on a table with some hairpins and different accessories and glue. And and a lot of the guests just went there and made their own pins or little bouquets or something. That's also something you can do at your wedding with dried plants. And another very important part, which I didn't notice until it was time, was how to transport all of your flowers. So I think there are some different ways how you can do it. I actually had some pre-arranged flower bouquets and arrangements and different stuff, and I also had loose plants. I wanted to arrange them at the location. So what I did with all of the bouquets, I took them out of the vases and put them in a box. I put so many bouquets in there that they wouldn't move, but not so many that they would squish each other, and that worked really well for the bouquets. The loose plants I left in these cardboard produce boxes. So with those different boxes I transported most of my plants, and the really big parts like the pampas grass, we just had to put them in the car, or some of them we even had to put in a, I don't know what it's called, a trailer. Like, I will put a picture here. So it's not that easy to transport them, but I think it's manageable, and also it's so much easier if you can arrange all the flowers before and you just put them out at the location and they're already done. So that are some of my tips for decorating your wedding, apartment, your party or whatever with dried flowers and plants. If you have some more questions or if you want to know more about something, feel free to tell me in the comments. I'm always happy to make a video about something that helps you, and also I will put some pictures at the end from my wedding and the preparations, so you can kind of see what that was like. I hope this video was helpful. I would love if you subscribe to the channel, and I hope I will see you in the next one.